Great Christmas, nice, and it was kind of a fun exercise. First I thought, man, I'm just going to jump in and try to do something quick, and then once I started digging in and realizing I wanted to work on just some process improvements. The biggest thing is that for me is I noticed I get into this sort of get-go mindset with recording, and I just forget certain little things. Even though I'm sort of keep trying to be like, okay, do the steps. So I decided to spend some time this morning on just improving my use of my productivity tools, like actually creating a checklist, like as for getting everything set up, so that way I have here's my mic, make sure I put my mic in front of me instead of just leaving it off to the side. That makes a difference in the sound quality and in my list, and that's something that I'm going to have to work on. There's just going to be a few little things, but that list improves, and you can sort of externalize the steps. It becomes much easier to fine tune or make adjustments. And this is something in terms of improving process that is important. It's easy to get caught up in our heads and want to stay in that space. And I'm somebody who likes to be spontaneous. Like, I like to feel this freedom of just working on what I want. But then I also realize there's times when I just need that kind of crisp discipline to get, and to get the fine tuning of results. And anyway, I thought today I would talk about some of the different tools. I use Asana myself, and I'm using that now. And I do want to highlight really that it's important to consider that it's the process and not the tool that matters. And tools enable processes, and the right tool can make things work better. But if you don't have something that's like a process discipline, or that you're trying to execute repeatedly, then you may, first of all, that may be an opportunity to not working in that way, then what you need to be productive. Every day doing something different, it's hard to get efficiency and leverage in your outcomes. So, business is generally about defining a process and fine-tuning the execution, kind of magic, right? An outcome or result that your competition, other people can't get. And there's and I'll move to the slides. There's this idea in business that like operational efficiency equals strategy, and that's true. Like, the what you're going after is your strategy, but if you don't execute well, you're going to lose, or you may lose strategy without any kind of execution. Is it's kind of useless, right? Like, you'll never know if your strategy was good or not. So it is important to continue. And execution is about for value in business, and do that efficiently, produce the outcomes that you're in. People who pay you money that they value, right? And where at a strategic level you can just deliver a monopoly, and that's a different. I'm not saying that all of our big companies do that, but there's a certain kind of like strategic, and then extracting value. I tend to focus personally on the idea that we should be, as business, creating value for the consumers, and that will lead to harness. So, anyway, it's just a philosophical. Anyway, I'm going to jump in here. The morning scrum. This is my improvement that I made here. You can see on the right side. So I'll go back with first what project specific to the morning scrum. I hadn't done that. I had just been using like a board task. I have the board task, so I can like prioritize and say, hey, like that's my time bucket. And then inside morning scrum, I can just create, an episode each time. And it's a good way. I mean, first, it's a good way for me. Like, probably what I'll do actually when I'm done is I'll put a link back to the LinkedIn post. It's a good way to, like, okay, here's all the things that I created, and I'll continue kind of more for tracks for like actually execute the task, except for what I did is I created a task template that has a list of things that I need to do like before and after recording. So, set up the lighting, and it's important. Like, my desk might move around. Actually, my desk is up and down, and I have it on top of my monitor. So, at least for right now, angles right. If there's down the road, maybe green, or today I added it back to the background and a better lighting over this bulb of the lamp. And then I'll improve that. I mentioned before, the right positioning, right? You got to get the mic in the right place, otherwise it doesn't record well. Setting up the scenes and the content, making sure I have a sponsor for each episode. And then what I almost always forget. Like, I literally keep today. I kept wanting to hit start, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna look back and check. Like, oh yeah, I forgot. Right, so I want to make sure I want whatever it is to get the show going, and then I have afterwards download, transcribing it. I use AI to write the LinkedIn, edit, sure that it has certain the LinkedIn post. I put a note here to improve on that. So I'm on like probably episode, I don't even know, probably 10 or 12, and things are definitely improving, right? And that's why I figure I'm like, by the time I get to this and work out the whole process, I'll be impressed. So anyway, yeah, use Asana for this. Not super complicated right now. There may be. I do have some other people that will probably be. I get down the road and get into distribute or like creating tasks and more complicated things. Right, so it's like go post this in, do a YouTube. There's all these amplifiers that can happen around content, and so that's where I'm next once I come into that phase of my product launch. I think of this like Andy Warhol. I read an article about how Andy Warhol didn't produce his art, and so what he really, Andy Warhol, but I see this sense of him thinking like a creator and influencing the designs of teams, I don't know what you call them, neophyte, whatever, people that were like, probably part of his operation, but we're all like super into his whole scene, right? Create these sort of marked versions of his art, and that was the conversion of what he was doing. And so that model for creativity is to go after and learn about, right? If you don't monetize your creativity, your production, then you're real, sure, it has personal satisfaction maybe, or if people aren't checking out and reading your stuff and seeing the value and paying for there's something, if you're trying to create a business, right? Create stuff and hope that it turn into a business, that scalability, distribution, operationalizing mindset needs to be part of what you do from the beginning. So anyway, yeah, the reason I say that is what I'm checking today and what I'm testing is, like, for me, and whether it's morning Scrum or maybe one of my ideas for monetization is to just review tools, products, and in a kind of appreciative. The idea here isn't to say like, hey, this is garbage or this, that, and the other. Just looking at what's going on in the space, industry, and offering some value. Today, looking at productivity tools, and this is, I tried to get some stuff out of and the some best practices. This is a little more team focused, and it's not really raw. It does like lead to a few things, that I feel like are relevant. First of all, like understanding like your team and how you work and what you think, what your vision is for operations makes a big difference. So, to me, generally doesn't happen at like there's huge like enterprise scale systems where there's like a certain kind of work, but most work happens kind of in a work group in a sense. And so even tools like it's software are often like represented in large organizations. It could be in like small marketing groups. So these kind of tools across many different types of organization. Asana being one. I have a table later where I'm going to go through, some of the top players. But just kind of understanding, like, is it just me? Is it going to be me and a couple other people that I want to, I want to control their work. So I want to be a centerpiece, and I want to just have other people assist me and have what's going on. I'm a strong believer in having some kind of central management system, even if it's just you individually, right? But it's separate from your personal. You can have your personal stuff tracked. You got to track your work, whether that's, I mean, to be honest with you, even like when I think about, when I had a corporate job, like I had to have a way of keeping track of like what were the things I needed to focus on and take care of. And so I've always had a personal productivity management system, whether it's had that since, I used to do early on. What I learned was from the Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits. So I would have I always had a planner with my weekly. Well, this is something I picked up right out of college. So I was like 20s and have just always had since then. So just knowing, like, and that is, I've also had, fairly large, teams. I guess huge, but MCF Tech, it was 5 people. And even early on, because it was a QuickBase, we built our own, business management system. And, we partially because we had, like, we designed our own tool that was hyper focused on, modeled exactly our sort of process. So a lot of culture around that. Like if you didn't, we had a, say, in the system and you didn't do it, do the person's responsibility. You should have put a task in there. So, we were really disciplined about task management, using this system, putting information in our productivity, knew what they were working on, we had visibility to everything. So understanding that the tools available, how are you going to work? It's really important to understand that the systems are going to be better than us. If you try to implement any other people using it, it's really important that it's not just like a general, like, hey, I'm going to put in a task. Here's how I expect you to collaborate. We're going to use comments. You don't have to assign the task to me, but at every single time I'm going to get notified. Just going in and fine tuning actual use of these tools is really important. I really happen a lot is that, companies, especially, smaller organizations will have like, whatever it is, it's like, maybe not even productivity. It could be like Google Chat, and nobody really like thinks about how you're using Google Chat, and everybody's adding everybody, and you're like, you spend like, hours a day just trying to figure out like, what am I actually supposed to pay attention to here in Google Chat? And then you sit around and say, okay, well, why don't we actually come up with like maybe chat groups, and like you can only be in it if you need to, and we'll have some kind of common understanding that when you do add to me, that means it's really important, and I'm actually going to like look at it. So, understanding how any kind of tool, but especially productivity tools at a granular level, like what are the rules of it? I'm not sure why it has this. Okay, this is actually using it. No, I've never really gotten too into the idea of having other people implemented productivity tools is usually about really specific, like task-based work. Um, there's some possibility to say like, hey, we're going to training to people and teach them to be more productive people. Probably a good idea. That's maybe what this, hey, like here's a way you can use this on. I do that, and I do try to show other people like, hey, board, you can do this. There's people that have worked for me at times, so I try to help some productivity for them, but mostly people just kind of have their own, have to figure it out. Maintaining clarity. Keeping your own like workspace organized is, like it just requires a certain amount of management and thinking. The board that I shared a few weeks ago, and I'm always thinking about like, okay, how do I actually do the thing? Keep the things that I might need to be aware of. And it does. You have to go in and move things. Don't like if you refer to your product regularly and don't keep it up to date, it's pretty useless. And then it's just getting to now is like as I identify repetitive work, scaling up or amplifying your own work is all about, especially as a creator, is going to be about how do I find repeatable patterns and then hand that off to other people, like VA, personal assistant, remote assistants for many years. So, once I'm ready, then I'll start handing off because there's all these things, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to put this post on LinkedIn, but you can go take these summaries or like, how do I get, at that level that the other person doesn't have to think too much about it. If you expect what you're trying to create, most people just aren't that. Most workers aren't going to be thinking that way. They just want to have sort of, here's a set of things, task, I can execute this task without, if they have to stop and figure out what you mean, or usually it's going to be hard to get, you're going to get nebulous results, right? You might, nobody else is going to think or create at the same level of attention to detail that you probably will as a creator or a leader. So it's important to think about how you scale on maybe go to the next tier. So I did create, like I had, Notebook LM create this cool table here. It's pretty small, but I'm going to make it, see if there's a bunch of tools. I've used probably, ClickUp. I used for a long time. There's a lot of great features in ClickUp. I think the reason I ended up with Asana and not ClickUp is I had this old ClickUp account, and it got I had so much tier stuff, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to pay for that tier, but I couldn't figure out how to create it again, and I just was okay, I just need to but I do really I feel like ClickUp is one of the most robust tools in terms of it has the stuff right inside of it. So I may explore that more. I mean that I do a lot of doc create as part of this process, just because I have to there's the AI step. I have to upload the and it's just spamming Google Drive now because I load it to Drive, create it, turn it to AI, and then I don't really use it anymore. So I just have all these so there's some thinking there, but Monday at different times. I don't know. I never ended up having where I scaled around Monday. I did big a Smart Sheet. I've tried it out. Teamwork. Actually, early on, and so when I had Big M marketing with Mitch, we used Teamwork, and it was fine. What I think I liked about it all was that it was fairly structured. It didn't have a lot of it was just simple projects, and we could. I think the idea we had there too is it was simple enough. some of the project tasks with the client. That's always a hard one, right? So we'd be setting up marketing and projects, and it's amazing. So we're like, hey, you're going to have to get us access to your LinkedIn. This was always like the programs, right? And there were other things we would require the clients. So the clients get, they want all these results. They expect magic from you in marketing. But when it comes to doing the things that they need to do to help out, they're like just totally ask them down for a week just to get LinkedIn access. Not everybody, but this is surprising. If you've done marketing services work, like getting the client you can support them is really, really strangely difficult for something where you need money and they want to get results. And then, it's sort of like they just figure you're going to do it for them. So anyway, that's why I don't really want to do that. I feel like I've reached this corner where I'm like, I'm happy to help like advise or share the knowledge that I have on LinkedIn to point you in the direction for things I've done at work or help, but services itself and marketing I think anybody that is willing to do that kind of work is just a glutton for punishment. That's the only thing I learned from doing this for almost 10 years now. It's just, there's people, it helps them with the, companies also understand their responsibility for results. And anyway, so, okay, back to, anyway. Yeah, when I was running services for LinkedIn scaling and other things, this was really, we tried the client to participate and understand where they need to. It was really challenging. So we did try various different tools, and I think we never got a collaboration model really active. It was just like I just had like the VA or somebody just constantly hammer every couple of days, like, hey, you didn't get your LinkedIn, like we just jump on a quick call and get it done, Anyway, that's a funny one, but it's maybe a little bit more for bigger companies. Structure. Notion used all over the place. Lots of Notion is a really cool tool. I try to think about it because actually that's another one that actually could be maybe really good for. I just didn't end up with because Notion has kind of more of a wiki environment. It was sort of, for me, it's like the board like structured management in Notion is like a little bit less in focus than Asana. It definitely has it. It's just more like fluid. But Notion is kind of more wiki style. So it could have some advantages for how I work now because I am creating and writing a lot, and it might be nice just to patient and generate to see how their AI works there. Actually, it's been a little while. Active Collab, Smart Suite, I've tried a little Motion, Trello quite a few times. I've used that a lot for actually when I used it when my partner Susan and I we were taking care of we were pet sitting. We have we spent 18 months. We have something like 53 on trusted house sitter. So Susan did this insane job. You can imagine we could be moving different locations all the time, and we needed details about the locations. We'd get information about tech, specific things. So we used Trello for that. It worked out pretty well for her to collaborate because we could also create a calendar family, so they're going to be at, and it was really hey, there's spots here. My parents would see the spots, hey, we're going to go travel a little bit, and you can watch our dog for a bit. So good. And the rest of these I haven't really Todoist and Tick, never heard of it, but Anydo and Todoist are kind of more personal task management tools. I know this has been a fun presentation this morning, and just going to figure out how to add my call to action. So somebody that loves to create business ideas, business solutions, whether it's growth marketing, operational processes, even, solving complex financial challenges, fun things that I've done and designed and built, and sit in any creative or strategic ideas. You can DM me on LinkedIn, or just search for me, Govind Davis. It's the best way to reach me, and excited to continue